Everyone, it's Autumn. Today I wanted to do a get ready with me video for this look that I currently have on my face, and I'm using all the products that I've recently picked up, and I'm just kind of testing them out. Some of them I've already tested and used before, actually most of them I have, and as I do the get ready with me, I am going to talk about them a little bit, and then afterwards I'm going to go by product and give you like a final review and my thoughts on those products. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to try this primer for the first time. This is the Jane Iredale Smooth Affair. I just got this in a Derm Store box. So I'm going to go ahead and test this out. And it comes out, it's like a just white. And I'm going to first put it on the center of my face and see what it feels like. That's normally where I prime. I don't prime all over. I'm going to look close in the mirror and kind of see what kind of finish it has, because for some reason, I think because it says, yeah, it's supposed to be a primer and brightener. I mean, it's kind of dewy. I'm going to put it all over because I guess obviously you don't want to just make the center of your face dewy. If you're going to use a dewy primer, I guess you should use it all over, so I'll put it on the cheeks as well. I'm normally not a primer person because I find the silicone ones kind of break me out and like clog my pores. Alright, so that is on. So then the other item I want to try, which I've been wearing this for a couple of days now. One I've been wearing a little bit longer, but I had to go pick up another shade, I guess. So I started off the summer with shade 205 Natural Beige, and this is when my skin was a little bit darker, but this was still a little bit too dark for my skin at its darkest. So I just went and I picked up shade 202 Creamy Natural, and this is the L'Oreal Infallable Pro Glow. And you're supposed to shake it a little bit, so I'll shake these up, and then I do equal parts of these on the back of my hand. And these are kind of runny, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and mix these and make sure I kind of got the shade that I want. And I'm just going to start dotting it all over my face with my finger. And then once I have it like that, I'm going to go in with my beauty blender and just kind of start stippling it in. This has a sheer coverage, and what I find from this is I do like the sheer. It's like a sheer buildable coverage. It doesn't show up a whole lot on the skin, especially like if you swipe. If you want to build up coverage, you can take your beauty blender and kind of just pat it on in the areas that you need coverage, and you can certainly build it up there. My skin is pretty good right now. I only have a couple spots that aren't so great. I'm going to put a little bit more on the back of my hand, and I do kind of want to point out that this, even though it's a Pro Glow, you would think it would be set more for people with dry skin. This contains alcohol, which can be irritating to people with dry skin, and I can definitely smell it when I first put it on my hand. So that is something to look out for. So I think if you have oily skin, you can definitely use this, but just kind of watch out for it and make sure that like you put a good skincare underneath it. If you are afraid of it irritating your skin. I'm going to go in and I'm going to correct the dark circles I have going on right here. And I'm going to take a little bit of Benefit Erase Paste and kind of just paint it in little lines right there. Then I'm just going to go through with my finger and press it in. And I like putting that pretty much only where I have the blue, because it is a corrective concealer, and if you start putting it in places that don't need correcting, it's just going to look too peach or orange on your skin. So it's just a lot easier to put it just where you need it. So now I'm going to go in with concealer, and the under eye concealer I'm going to use is this Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer Creme. and this was sent to me through Influencer. And I'm just going to go ahead and dot some of this just like right on the inner corner like that, just where I need it again, and kind of where I'm darker. And then I'm a little bit darker out this way too, and so I'll kind of try to brighten up that area as well. So this came with, well, it didn't come with it, but it was sent to me with the number 40 brush. It's their concealer brush. And so I'm just going to go ahead and work it in using that. And I like this brush because it's angled and it gets right up under the lash line. And the way that I guess the brush hairs are tapered, it almost does feel like you're just using your finger to tap things in. It's really soft, and it really does mimic your fingers. I find that the concealer has a bit of a drag to it, and so it doesn't travel as much as like a lot of like the under eye brighteners or like the more I would say like sheer or like fluid type concealers do, but it really stays put once you get it on there, and I think that's probably why the drag, it's got so much drag, because it does stay put. And I just like to go in with my beauty blender and like take away any excess and just tap it away if there is any, and just kind of even everything out. I'm just going to set the center of my face and my under eye area. And I'm going to start with the Kat Von D brush, and this is the brush number 20 that's made just for this powder. It's like their setting powder brush. It's extremely soft. I've been using it for everything. I use it for highlighter, bronzer, blush. I love this brush. It's very soft. I say that this is the Lock-It Setting Powder in Translucent by Kat Von D. I don't remember if I said that. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to go ahead and put on some eyeshadow primer, and this is the Lorac eyeshadow primer. I forget what it's called, and I rubbed it off. But I'm going to go ahead and get some of that and put it on my eyes. And that concealer brush by Kat Von D I think works perfectly for spreading the primer around the eyes as well. And the way it is, it kind of picks up any excess primer, so it's not like globbed on the eye. Like, it's really good about just putting exactly the amount you need. Now I'm going to go in with my Chanel quad that I recently got, and this is their fall quad. I think it's sold out right now, but if I understand correctly, this is something that might possibly become part of the permanent line, so look out for that. This is in, what is this? 268 Candeur et Experience. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what it is. I have used this several times. I like the look that I get from it every single time. I will say though, with this red shade, if you place it down first, I did have some lid staining one day that it was a little bit difficult to get off. So if that's something, if you don't wear eyeshadow every single day, maybe put another shadow down first before this one, because it did stain my lids. I'm going to go in with this MAC, no, it's a Sigma E35. And I'm going to go in with that with this lightest shade right here that it says it's the highlight shade, but to me it's too dark to highlight, but I find it to be an awesome transition shade. And so I am just going to stick that right in there in the transition area. I'm going with this Sonia Kashuk, I guess it's, I don't know what brush it is. It's number 28. And I am going to take this shade right here that's next to the shade I just applied. And it's like, I would say, a warmer brown, and I am just going to place that all over the lid. I'm going to take the brush that I originally put my crease shade in, and then just blend everything together. And I'm going to take a MAC 217, and I'm going to go in to the red shade and kind of move it on the outer corner and into the crease, and just to kind of, I don't know, give it the brown that's already in there more of a red tone. I'm going to go in with this little detailer brush and then pick up that first shade that I put into the crease, and I'm going to swipe that along the lower lash line. I'm going to go into this deeper shade, and I think this brown leans a little bit more cool than the other shades. And I'm just going to put that right into the outer corner. And then taking a clean, fluffy sort of blending brush, I'm going to blend all of this together for like 10 minutes just to make sure that there are no patchy areas or anything that's really noticeable. Alright, so now I'm going to go in and do my brows, and this is the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil, and I have the shade number 2. I got this as a free sample from Ulta. They sent out an email for it. I've been absolutely loving it. I thought that the shade was going to be like too light for my brows, but I find that it ended up just being the perfect shade to go in and fill the gaps without making me look like I had super dark, awful brows. And I've just really been loving this pencil. So I think that when it's time to buy one, I'm definitely just going to stick with the same shade, where originally I thought I might go a shade deeper. But I think I'm just going to stick with this one. Alright, so brows are done, and now I'm going to go in with blush. And I got this in the Burberry Beauty Kit, and this is the blush in the shade Cameo. And it came with a little applicator. This is one that I actually had from before, from the Burberry Beauty box from last year. But I'm going to go ahead and just apply this on the cheeks. And then I applied that a little bit stronger than maybe I should, so I'm just going to go in with my Beauty Blender and go around the edges and clean it up. Alright, so I forgot to pull out a bronzer, so what I'm going to do is actually just use this Laguna. I don't have like a new bronzer, I don't think, to use in this, so I'm trying to use this up. I'm almost done with Laguna, so I'm just going to go in and use that with this large bronzer blush that I got from Jessup. And just go in and bronze around the face with it. Alright, so my camera did this really adorable thing to where it looked like it was still recording, but it cut off my video. It does this all the time. It's really annoying. Anyway, I don't know where it cut off. I won't know until editing. So I sprayed my face. Actually, I'll start with the blush. I used the Burberry blush in the shade Cameo on my cheeks. I then went in with Nars Laguna bronzer all over my face. I'm almost out of it. I'm trying to pan it. And then I went in with my Evian facial spray to get rid of any powderiness and to give the skin like that dewy effect on the face. And then I went over my cheeks with the Marc Jacobs Spotlight Glow Stick. And what I did was I used my fingers to apply it directly onto the skin, and then I went over it with a beauty blender. And then to intensify, I swiped the point of the beauty blender over, and then I went over those areas and then blended out again. So that's where I'm at with my face. That was really frustrating. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the color on my face. I'm gonna do lips. I forgot about lips. So I'm gonna go in and put on this Burberry lipstick, and this is in the shade Rosewood, and this is their velvet formula. I think it's like a matte, yeah, lip velvet. And this is like the perfect fall shade for me. Like, it's the best. It's like an intensified version of my lips. Alright, and then now I am just going to go dry my hair because I just got out of the shower, and also put on some mascara, and I'll be back to show you the completed look. Alright, so this is the completed look with hair down. I did take a couple of photos so that you could see what it looked like in actual, like, I guess everyday normal lighting. I do have a window here and then an umbrella light over here, so I'm not quite sure how washed out I am. So I did snap a couple photos, and I'll show those to you now. And now I actually have to run to go get my daughter from school, and then when I get back, I am going to talk to you about each individual product and kind of give a mini review of each one. So I'll be back in just a minute. So now it's time to review the products. I'm going to try and go in order in which I used them, but I may mess up here and there. So I want to start off with this, and this is the Jane Iredale? Yeah, Jane Iredale Smooth Affair. Again, it's supposed to be a facial primer and brightener. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it really did anything. It's the first time I've used it. My skin doesn't really look that much different than when I use like no primer at all with this particular foundation. It has a citrus smell. And on my hand, it does kind of have like a natural like sheen or glow. So I don't know. So this is actually something I like because it doesn't feel very silicone-y on the skin. So this is something that I would actually use if I found over time that it helped with the longevity of my makeup. Since I just put this on about an hour ago, I'm not 100% sure that it did anything for the longevity, but I think it looks nice. My makeup didn't catch on it as I was applying it, like nothing crazy like that. So overall, I think I like this pretty well, but I will maybe let you guys know in the future or once I use it up, my final thoughts. So then the next product I used were these L'Oreal Infallable Pro Glow foundations. I've used this a while. Well, I used this when my skin was a little bit, I guess, darker. And what I did was I mixed this with a lighter, like different foundation for a while, but in order to give an actual review, I wanted to mix it with just a lighter shade of the same foundation. And I like it. I like the finish. I like that it's a natural finish and it looks like skin. If you were to come up to me, you would not be able to find foundation on my skin. It looks really good. I like that aspect of it. I don't like the fact that it's got alcohol in it, in which when you're buying these and you just look at the back, it doesn't really show alcohol back here. You have to like peel back several layers of this, and I normally don't do that when buying it because then it kind of hangs off the product like this. So I bought it without smelling it or knowing or doing any of that stuff, and so I will say that that's kind of sucky. But if you moisturize your face really well, put on a good serum, sorry I'm messing with my hair, it got frizzy after going outside. If you put on a good serum and moisturizer and all that stuff, the alcohol shouldn't really have a huge effect on your skin. I have pretty dry skin. I did find this when I did not use a really good moisturizer underneath. I did find my face kind of feeling tight throughout the day, which is kind of crazy because it has like this luminous effect to it. So you would think that it would be very moisturizing. Looks are deceiving with this. I think that somebody with dry skin could wear this and get along not dry skin, oily skin could wear this and get along perfectly with it without it looking too crazy. It has that sheen to it, but the sheen isn't really from moisture with this. It's almost like a thin layer of plastic over your face. And I know that that sounds really awful, but it's like a very thin layer of plastic to where it kind of has a sheen to it and it looks very radiant, but you never really get oily, if that makes sense. Like nothing pokes through, it doesn't break down. It's very impressive for what it is. And I don't know, like I like it. It looks like skin. The only thing I just wish it didn't have the alcohol in it, but it obviously has to have the alcohol in it to get that effect on the skin. It's very runny. I think I showed you guys when I was applying it that it's a very runny foundation as well. And it says it's for normal to dry skin. It says it's hydrating. I don't think it's hydrating, like I just mentioned. And then it says, so the finish radiant, yes. Wear up to 24 hours. I would never wear makeup that long, but I will say that it does throughout the day, because I've even worn this to the gym. It does throughout the day eventually kind of like, I wouldn't say wear away. It stays put and it's even, like it doesn't come off clumpy, but after a while, like that buildable coverage. I would say it's a light to medium buildable coverage. The buildable coverage kind of does go away, and like little spots or imperfections kind of do come through, but overall the makeup still looks nice. It doesn't look patchy and it doesn't break down or anything like that. And the most I've worn it, I would say, would be like 12 hours. So I can't attest to anything over 12 hours, but it still looks good at the end of the day. Coverage medium. Yes, if you build it up, but also maybe if you use a brush or your fingers. I always use like a blending sponge, and actually my favorite with this one is not the Beauty Blender. My favorite with this foundation is actually the Real Techniques one, and I like to kind of swipe it, which gives even less coverage. So it might be a medium coverage, but just the way I use it, it's usually like a light coverage. And then the texture, it says Air Light, which is true. You don't feel it on your skin, you don't see it on your skin. So overall, I would say that this is a pretty great foundation if you want something that looks natural and fresh and not matte, and you want it to last. So overall, this is really great. Alright, so then the next thing I used was the Kat Von D concealer. Now, this concealer, let me look at the claims online before I give it a full-on review. My experience, this is not hydrating. I was pleased when I first started using it to see that it wasn't like a matte concealer. Every time I think of Kat Von D, I think of like a matte finish, and it's definitely not a matte finish. I would say it's like a natural finish, but since it is such high coverage, I find that you have to kind of like pigment. Usually, a lot of times it's, you know, kind of drying, like it absorbs product. So since it is such a high pigment concealer, I find that it's not really super hydrating because you can't really get in there. But just use a good eye cream first. It says it does not crease, and if you use very little of it, it doesn't crease. So that's why when I did it, I like to go through with the brush that they had. So I guess I'll go ahead and review that too, if I can find where I stuck it. I like to go with this brush and just pick up any excess. I feel like this does a really great job doing that, so you don't put too much product on. If you put too much on, it's certainly going to crease, even though it says it doesn't, but I mean, it's all an application. A Beauty Blender is also really good for picking up that excess product as well. I have lines under my eyes, like right here, and that's, you're going to get those as you age, and sometimes even younger people have them. So I found that that's where it creased the most, and I had to be really light in putting it in there. When I put it here, it wasn't so bad, but I also found that since I like a more natural foundation and it's such a high coverage concealer, that it sometimes looked kind of crazy because I had this like natural finish, very light foundation on, and then this high coverage concealer. So that's also something to kind of watch out for. And I just went through with the Beauty Blender and blended it out. Overall, I think this is a really great concealer. They have a really great shade range, and they claim that you can also use this like on your face for highlighting, contouring. It's like a all-in-one sort of product. I also like the applicator, and I'll take this out and show you. The applicator is a doe foot, but it also comes to a point, and I really like that for just like getting right in there. I am not one to do the whole like V thing on the face. I like to put concealer just where I need it, and that's it. And I think this is a good one. I'm going to continue to use it. And I think the brush is great with it too, but you don't really need the brush. You can use your fingers in a Beauty Blender, and I think you would be just fine that way too. So then the next product that I used after that, I believe, was this Kat Von D setting powder. And so this is a translucent powder. I did find if I used a lot of it, and I try to use it for several different things because they claimed that these products are kind of made to bake together, to where you can do baking. And they also claim that this particular powder is supposed to like blur out any sort of like wrinkles and pores and stuff like that. It's just supposed to be very blurring, translucent, and all that good stuff. I did find that if I put a lot of it on my face, especially to try baking, that it did kind of look dry and crepey, and it also had a flashback with the camera. Today I just kind of used the brush, again the Kat Von D brush, and then just kind of put it exactly where I needed it, and it set everything, and I didn't get the flashback. I did actually take a flash photo, which I'll show here. And as you can see, I didn't really get the white flashback or anything like that. But if you do put a lot of it, you're going to get that white sort of flashback. So just don't go overboard with the powder. I was also happy to see that this setting powder is more of like a finishing powder or just like a setting powder without it being a mattifying powder. Again, when I think of Kat Von D, I think of very matte, like almost like gothic makeup. And this just looks like skin once it's on. It's not mattifying or anything. It just kind of sets everything into place, which is perfect because I don't like mattifying stuff. So overall, I think this is a really good product. As far as packaging goes, the only gripe I have is the fact that there's no sifter in here. So what comes to the top you kind of have to use. So it's not really travel friendly because if your bag gets tipped upside down and shaken around a little bit, you're going to have a cap full of product. So that's one thing that I don't really care for with this. But overall, I think it's a really great product. And I've really been enjoying it, especially since I just like setting makeup and I still like a dewy finish. I still get that with this, and it's great. I had a Burberry blush to try out. I've never tried their blushes. I love Burberry eyeshadow, so I was really excited to try out one of the blushes, and I love this. I love the shade first and foremost. I think that this is in the shade Cameo, by the way. This is the shade that I naturally flush. It's like, this is just the best shade for me. I love it. It's like a dusty pink that leans, I don't want to say it leans purple, but it kind of does. I just love it. Like, this is the perfect shade for me. So there's like a full on swatch, and I don't know, like I could just pile this on my cheeks, and I think it's good for me for every season. Like, this is just the perfect autumn shade. So if I do run out of this, I'm definitely going to repurchase. But with the beauty box for $30, you got like a brush, a primer, a lipstick, and this, and it was a great deal. And this has, how much? Again, it doesn't say, I forget. Yeah, when I got this, it didn't say how much it had in it, which was kind of annoying. But I love the blush. I kind of want to try other shades now because I'm kind of obsessed with this. So I guess I was hoping, well, I wouldn't say I was hoping to be disappointed with it because I obviously paid for it, but I maybe was hoping to not love it this much to where I feel like I need to use some other ones. What I will say though, this is scented, so if you have any problems with scented makeup, you may not like it, but for me, it's not so overbearing to where like I smell it on my face once it's there or it really bothers me. So yeah, this, I have a brush hair on my face. This overall though, I absolutely love it. So now I'm going to talk about the highlighter, and I've done Instagram posts using this. I just love this highlighter. This is the Marc Jacobs Spotlight Glow Stick. So they say on, when I got the thing, that you could apply it directly from the bullet, and that's kind of how it was suggested, like, you know, you just kind of apply directly from the bullet on the face. I found that when I did that, I got transfer from my makeup onto here and it looked all gross, but then also since I had makeup rubbed onto there, it was like coming off in patches on my face. So the best way I found was just to kind of use my fingers and swipe it on and then dab it on where I needed it. You can obviously put this on full on and intensify it like this, or you can shear it out and then it just looks like your skin is naturally dewy. I find that since it doesn't really have any pigment behind it and it's just kind of like a glow, like you don't see like a color. Like sometimes when you, say, which one is it? It's the Benefit What's Up. That one looks beautiful like when it's shining, but then I turn my hand or my face a certain direction and then I see like the beiginess to it. And this doesn't really have any sort of like pigment or color under it. It's just glow, which is awesome because any skin tone can wear it without it appearing ashy. And I also like the fact that it is a mixture of gold and silver. And then that way, you know, like it just blends and looks beautiful and natural. So it's not too white and it's not too gold. I think this is like the perfect cream highlighter for anyone. I will say with lasting power on this, after I've had it on my face for a while, it stops looking so intense. You can add more if you want, but I just like to top this with a highlighter, in which I didn't do that with the Get Ready With Me because it wasn't a new product. But what I've been loving to top it with is this highlighter in this Showstopper. Well, there's two different highlighters. So this is the Tarte Showstopper Clay Palette, and this highlighter in here, I don't know if there's a name. I don't think there's a name. It just says highlighter. This highlighter in here is gorgeous. It's definitely going to be a favorite this month, but since I think this palette is still available. I saw it at Ulta the other day, but I'm going to swatch it right here. Again, it's like the most gorgeous sort of like glow. I don't wear it that intense, obviously. But if you want something that's not in a palette form, I've been using the Cover FX, and it's in the shade Moonlight. And this one looks gorgeous over the top too. It kind of has like it's like a peach, but then it has like silver reflex in it. And it looks super natural. And it's like right here. It looks super natural and glowy too. It's on top of the, like there it is on my finger, but it's on top of the Marc Jacobs on my hand. So there it is. So those are the two that I've been loving to wear over if I feel like I need to set it. But let me just, I'll use this one since, oh, my stomach just growled. I'll use this one since you can buy it individually, and then just kind of, although I just had blush on this brush. Like if you see, it's just gorgeous. I will say though, this one, I'm not quite sure how well it's going to do on darker skin tones since it has that kind of light peach under it. This may look ashy, so just kind of look out for that if you're a darker skin tone. But yeah, I love the Marc Jacobs. I think anybody can wear it and it's great. So my camera turned off on me again, so I'm going to go back because it doesn't tell me in advance. I'm going to go back and hopefully hope that I was talking about this. So this is the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. Absolutely love it. They gave me the lighter shade. This is a sample that I got at Ulta. They gave me the lighter shade 2, and I thought it was going to be way too light because it's made for blondes, but it's actually the perfect shade for me. It doesn't go really too ashy. It's not warm at all, but instead of going red, it goes green. I would say, yeah, it just leans a little bit green. But what I like about it is the fact that it has this, it's like a triangle in the bullet. And I like the fact that it comes to a point on this end of the triangle to where you can kind of get in and go around the perimeter of your brow and really shape it and do really fine hair-like strokes. And then you can go in with the wider end and fill in the gaps. So I really like that aspect of it. And then I also like that the texture isn't too waxy. Sometimes these brow pencils are super waxy, but then sometimes, like when they're waxy, like your hairs kind of get matted together and it looks crazy. But then sometimes brow pencils are too powdery and they don't last. This is like the perfect combination of both. This brow pencil lasts all day, and if I want something really quick to just run outside the house, like I have to go somewhere, this is what I've been reaching for. I just love it. I think it's great. So then the next item I want to talk about is the Chanel Quad. I went ahead and swatched all the shades out here for you so you can kind of see them. This is the first Chanel Quad that I've seen that is all matte shades. Usually they're mostly shimmer. The only other Chanel Quad that I have is in the Mystics, and I was very disappointed with one of the shades, the silver shade. It was like glitter and it didn't adhere. It was a useless shade. These, I love every single shade. You can do so many great things with this. You could just go natural with this shade. You can really vamp it up with the red. The browns are perfect. You have a more neutral to warm brown, and then you have your cooler brown here. Super, super versatile. I didn't use any other eyeshadows on my eyes. The highlight shade, which they call the Illuminate, yeah, the highlight shade. You can't really highlight with that. It's just too dark. Yeah, that's too dark to highlight like your brow bone or your inner corner with. So there's not really a shade like that in here. I didn't use any other shades. I just kind of left them blank and then used the highlighter I use on my face to just kind of go over my brow bone anyway, because that stands out. And I think it's perfect and I love it. So this right now, as far as I know, is out of stock in most places. You may be able to find it somewhere, or just go into a store and see if they still have it. And it says limited edition on the Chanel website, but I heard from somewhere that this is supposed to eventually become part of the permanent range. So hopefully it is, and you guys can get your hands on it when it does become part of the permanent range. And then the last thing I want to talk about is my lipstick, and it's worn off because I've had it on for over an hour now, but this is the Burberry Rosewood, and I think they have the shade Rosewood in a couple different formulas, and I would kind of like to try those formulas now. But this is the Lip Velvet, and again, it came in that Burberry Beauty Kit. The perfect shade for me. Like the blush and the lipstick, it was like they were made for me. So I'm going to put some more on. So I don't find this to be especially drying, but since it is a matte shade, it's not moisturizing. I don't know, I just love it. It's like the perfect shade for me. I never wear anything full on. I'm one of those, I'm a dabber. And I did try this on full on at first, but for me mostly I just kind of dab it around the lips, make it look more natural, and this is like the perfect shade for me. So I think that when this is all used up, I'll definitely get a full size of this, and I'm also curious to try the shade and maybe some of the other formulas to see if they have like a more moisturizing sort of formula. So I was really excited about that. I hope that the Burberry Beauty Kit comes back in stock. When I first went to the website, it was out of stock. And so I put in my email for them to email me as soon as it was in stock, and as soon as they emailed me, I ordered it and I got it. Not long after that, though, it was out of stock again. So hopefully it does come back. So overall, I think that is everything. I'm going to include some photos of the finished look in different lighting at the end as well. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I love hearing from you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!